Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Drake The Bookshop in Stockton for a very special evening with a very special singer-songwriter. Please welcome Amelia Coburn.
Fastened through my shoelace, he hangs on every word. Swirling through my coffee cup, took sugar sweetly stirred. I'm a music box bird, caged until I've crewed. Wind me up again, please. Rub salt on every wound. Follow instructions, they're so eager to please. You can borrow or beg, got your tail between your legs, and I'm pleading down on my knees. Teach me the tricks of the trade. I'm a nodding dog. The notches on the bedpost were like names carved on a tree. You drew an Etch-a-Sketch heart just to shake up then wipe clean. I dreamt a mighty tempest had swept us out to sea, while you were steady as the shore breathed in. I was gasping to be free. They're so eager to please. You can borrow or beg with your tail between your legs, and I'm pleading down on my knees. Ooh, teach me the tricks of the trade. I'm a nodding dog. I'm a nodding dog.
So, Amelia, Nodding Dog is a song, like many of your songs, that combines very beautiful music with a little bit of grit and darkness. Is that an approach that you're particularly fond of?
It is. I think people have this impression of me when they first see me walk on stage or when they see me, and it's a young lass with a ukulele, and they think I'm going to be playing a George Formby cover, and then they hear the music. And I think the album that I released, Between the Moon and the Milkman, it is darkness and light. You do have those bits of grit and darkness, but there also is the happier songs on there. So I like to try both, I suppose.
And I've been intrigued since I first heard it. Nodding Dog mentions an Etch-a-Sketch in its lyrics. And I would assume you're far too young to have ever received an Etch-a-Sketch for Christmas. What is your history with the humble Etch-a-Sketch?
I remember having one as a kid. I think it was an Etch-a-Sketch. It might have been a rip-off brand, but
Probably from Stockton Market.
Probably,
Three
yeah.
for £1.
Just a red square little drawing board that I used to draw on. I don't know what to say to that.
And is it true, Amelia, that your producer Bill Ryder-Jones had a particular nickname for this song?
He did. It might be a bit too rude to say on camera, but it's Bill's favourite song on the album, and I think it might be mine too. And he thinks it's a filthy song. And when you look at the lyrics, I understand why. I didn't write it with that intention. It was actually inspired by my experience on Tinder and Teesside, and I kept getting walked all over by these absolute mingers, essentially. And I wrote songs about them, but it wasn't meant to be anything too what's the word? Blue?
It's not muck, it's just revenge.
Yes, exactly.
So what are you going to play next for us?
I'm going to play one of the singles off the album called Seesaw, which is actually, the album takes its title from one of the lyrics in Seesaw, and it's inspired by, I was a bit of a weird kid, essentially, and I grew up loving Brothers Grimm fairy tales, but the very dark, gory tales where, a prince inevitably got his head chopped off. And I think I took that love, sort of morbid curiosity later into life, into a love of gothic literature by the likes of, Shirley Jackson and Daphne du Maurier. So Seesaw is essentially a song about the darker shades of literature and life.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Seesaw, open the door, lift up the latch, enter my mind. Inside you'll find patchworks of passageways, tales twined into a fray, seamless twisted ballet spinning inside of my head. Magpie, mischievous eye, witnessing crows and their murder, such sweet sorrow, fever and jealousy, witchcraft and heresy, mourning your majesty. How does your wife feel today? Does she sing herself to sleep? Dare she look before the leap? Is she waiting for your secret or your sign? Sing, oh muse of the sunflower child, moths fly to the flame like she leans towards the light. Sing, oh muse of the fairy tale bride, to see the dawn rise, she must waltz with the night. Creatures lurk in the hours between the moon and the milkman. Black cats sit tight, eyes on the creamery, feign immortality, till curiosity swings down and nips at your tail. When your memories wax and wane, and your time is tied by chains, she'll be waiting for your secret or your sign. Sing, oh muse of the sunflower child, moths fly to the flame like she leans towards the light. Sing, oh muse of the fairy tale bride, to see the dawn rise, she must waltz with the night. To see the dawn rise, she must waltz with the night.
Seesaw is my favourite song on the album, and I'm guessing it's one that's very important to you as well, because it's the song, as you said, that gives the album its title, Between the Moon and the Milkman. What was it about that particular line that made you think, yeah, that's the album title?
I think it was quite an unusual phrase, and I quite like the idea of having a long album title. And a lot of the songs were either written about nighttime or I wrote them during night, either at uni in my student digs or at home trying to be really quiet. And I've got all these voice notes of all my ideas, and it just felt really fitting that the album encapsulated that sense of nighttime and the sort of not only the strange creatures that lurk in the wee small hours, but the feelings you get. You know, I always feel more creative at nighttime, and I wanted that to come across.
It does really exist in that weird hinterland between waking and sleeping, which is one that I find really evocative as well. Is that feeling, that mental state, is that one that you draw on a lot for your creativity?
It was, yeah, especially like as a student. Like I say, I used to stay up all night, and that was when I felt like I could write most. And I do love like sort of anything like the Twilight Zone. I used to love that TV series, so I feel like I've always been drawn to things that are a bit quirky and weird, but nowadays I wouldn't be able to write past 10 p.m. because I'm in bed by 9. I'll be asleep.
Are we talking about the old Twilight Zone here?
Yeah.
The 60s black and white Twilight Zones. What's your favourite episode?
Oh, don't put me on the spot, but is it called Where Is Everybody, where he wakes up and there's no one around?
It's the very first episode.
Is it? That might not be I think it's because it's the first one I saw. I was going to say maybe it's not my favourite, but it's the one that sticks in my memory the most because I was only about 8 and I was like, this is really cool. And it got me into like Tales of the Unexpected, Roald Dahl. I read those and then watched them on telly. So I do quite like anything. Yeah, X-Files. I'm just, big fan of anything a bit spooky.
Does that mean spooky books as well? Because here we are in Drake's The Bookshop. What's your favourite spooky book?
I think my favourite, it's not considered a horror book, but it was actually a book that inspired Seesaw, and it did freak me out for a while, was Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. I suppose it is horror in a way, but it's more coming of age, but just the way he wrote about these carnies and that it was so well written, I could really feel like I was one of the young lads growing up and having this creepy circus come to town. And also when I read The Master and Margarita, which again inspired Seesaw, even though it wasn't really scary, I had nightmares about the devil for weeks afterwards. So.
What's your next song?
My next song is Sleepy Town.
Where the whip is cracked. The good book told me never to look back, heading off the beaten track. My blood is red, my eyes are black. I coughed and spluttered from my throat, every single word from every note that my slighted lover wrote. With poison pen gladly gloat. And how much can you love until you loathe? Itchy feet, they're longing for new clothes. Atlas spread, I spun the globe round and round from Mexico. Native river, take me far from this sleepy town. Believe me when I said the road less followed is where I shall tread, my patience hanging by a thread. Why draw the knife when I'm already dead? So I hit the road, push came to shove, one foot down and one hand in my glove. The earth looks lazy from above. What we wouldn't do for love. It's crazy what we wouldn't do for love. And how much can you bend until you break? No matter where you are, the heart shall ache. Of lands afar and cactus trees, I'm yearning to speak Portuguese. Muito obrigada. My poor old sleepy town. your flesh is weak, underline these words I speak. You can choose to be a beast or to stay me. The teeth and tine are on the run from this land towards the rising sun. All these plans he made have come undone. Wayfaring lady, I am one. So come on children, rise up from the dirt. My skin is thick so feelings cannot hurt. Nomadic life sounds fun to me. I'll close my eyes and count to 3. Where are we now? Poor old sleepy goodbye, my weeping farewell, my sleepy town.
Sleepy Town, very much your country song, Amelia. So if we think of country music as a sliding scale between Johnny Cash and Shania Twain, whereabouts on that scale are you?
With what I listen to, it'd be much the Johnny Cash end. I don't know if I could say I sound like Johnny Cash, but actually, it's funny you mention him, because when I wrote Sleepy Town and you hear the voice note demos that I recorded when I was in the process of creating the song, I kind of go into like sort of Robert De Niro character acting, and I was putting on like Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan accents as I sang the songs. I was like, "Hi, my name's Johnny Cash," and I'd sing Sleepy Town to get into that. I really wanted to write a country Americana song, so it was my version of a Johnny Cash song in a way.
I know you've taken a lot from your parents' records collections over the years. Is that where your love of country comes from?
I wouldn't say like country as a genre, but my dad does love Johnny Cash, and he always goes to Keep It Cash whenever it's on at the little theatre. But that's probably as far as country music goes, I suppose. Maybe Glenn Campbell. But my dad basically raised me on. It's got a really eclectic mix from all sorts. We've got Sex Pistols and The Clash, but then we've also got the Oklahoma original soundtrack. So it's a big spectrum of genres.
I'm going to let you get on your soapbox here, because Sleepy Town is a country song, but you sing it very much in your Teesside accent, as you sing all of your songs in your beautiful Teesside accent. And I know you've been stung in the past by criticism of you doing that, and you're very proud to sing in your northeastern accent. Is that important to you, to have that northeastern feel and that heritage coming through strongly in your music?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember as I started out playing music, when I was doing covers or when I was writing, I didn't want to put on an American accent that I felt like a lot of people were doing at the time and still are in a way. And I thought, well, I'm not. And I did a bit of singing lessons as a kid, and I grew up, putting on an RP accent, musical theatre stuff. And I think that sometimes does still come through. I try and enunciate every word, and I do sound probably dead posh, because I am.
You're from Nunthorpe.
Yeah, I am. And now I live in Eaglescliff, so there we go. But no, I've always wanted to sing how I speak, I suppose, as much as I can. And I think that is not only something important to me, but I think it was quite unique. Because, I think it's important to hear where you're from when you're singing or when you're speaking to people, and I love being from Teesside. So,
well, power to your elbow, and you've got great elbows, and congratulations on what is a terrific album as well. And thank you so much. It's been a brilliant night. Got to say a huge thank you to Drake The Bookshop for having us all down here as well. Thank you to everybody for coming along and being a wonderful audience, but most of all, thank you very much to the brilliant Amelia Coburn.